Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. I'm Alec Aberna. That man right there is Mike Wolfgang, and this is the Casual Sports Podcast on your sports network. Mike, Golden State did it. They punched their ticket into the NBA Finals last night. What are your initial thoughts coming right out of the gate here to start off the show?
By the way, are these like your Friday glasses or something?
I don't know. I've had them for a while. They no longer work. They're supposed to flash. Oh, there they go. I got them to work.
Oh, they're back on. There we go.
Yeah.
I could see it, but it's
these are about 3-4 years old, so I'm surprised they still work. To be honest, at all.
They're still making it.
I'm not gonna lie. I can't read a single word on my screen at the moment.
Sorry, you could. When I start talking, you can put them on. Then you can take them off. Yeah. But no, Golden State. Yeah, last night. Not surprising what they did. Dallas made a run. They didn't get out of it. They tried to keep themselves back into it, but it's too much for them for when you're playing Golden State. And I know we talked yesterday about Golden State's dynasty. It's worth repeating it again because they're back in it. They're back there. And
now you can officially say they're back. Yesterday was all the speculation. We're talking, if this, if that, whether they can actually pull it off, or is Steph going to get caught up in another big comeback? He doesn't. They have a good game, and it really wasn't a bad game by either team. They both put up solid numbers, but it came down to Golden State's second quarter. They put double digits. They had 12 more points is what I'm going at there in that second quarter, and that was a big propellant for what they did. They held on to that lead throughout the rest of the game. They never really let up. Third quarter went Dallas's way, but then they both tied with 26 points in that fourth quarter. It was just a hard place to come back from. And it was really the third time in this series that you saw Golden State really be this fully functional team of everybody is getting theirs. Nobody had a bad night. I mean, you look at their guys that played, from Moses Moody, who came in for 11 minutes and got 7 points, or Nemanja Bjelica, who came in for 22 minutes, got 5 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds. Jordan Poole getting 16 points. Steph Curry, he only had 15 points, but he still had 9 assists that came out of it. Clay went off for one of the, I believe it was a historic 3-point shooting night for him last night, got 32 points for the team. Kevon Looney went out there, put up a double-double, grabbing almost 20 boards in that game. Draymond got his. He nearly put up a triple-double, as a matter of fact. A couple more boards and 1 more assist, and he would have had it. And Andrew Wiggins drops a double-double. That game, it didn't matter what what their game plan was coming out of it. Golden State, they were just on their money. It was time. They knew it. They were going to close things out in front of their home fans. They didn't want to go do this in Dallas or, have to get forced into a Game 7 scenario or something. They wanted this to end here and now, and they did it, and they did it the right way. They win their complete game. Their opponent put up a great fight all the way through. Both teams were shooting brilliantly from downtown. Field goal percentages were up. Golden State, thanks to Kevon Looney and the fact that Dallas didn't have a center in this game, Dwight Powell went down early, and he only played 7 minutes in total, and it was looking like his rebounds were going to be there. They had to turn to other guys. So Luka had to focus a little bit more defensively. He still put up 28 points, but he got 9 boards in those 40 minutes. Maxi Kleber, who I wish they were able to get some more time, and he was always as good as he can be, he had to grab down 8 boards. So that loss of Dwight Powell is a big thing for Dallas. We talked about it earlier in the season. That's what they need to make that switch up on. They need to find that center for next season. This team can go a long way, but the rebounding is really the only thing in this game that you can really look at and go, that's why this game what it was, because Golden State, they out rebounded by almost 20 rebounds. The assist numbers were up too for Golden State, but that comes when you're hitting down that many threes. So I'm not going to look at that too specifically because that's Golden State's game plan. That's not really Dallas. Rebounding, though, is a key game plan for every team. So,
yeah, and I think with Dwight Powell, like we talked about, it's something they need to address. They're very thin, and when he goes down, they're even worse in terms of size down low. But I think with Golden State, like you were saying, they were hitting pretty much everything, and it's not like Dallas wasn't scoring the ball that they lost. They scored 110 points. They just couldn't play good enough defense. And I think sometimes you could play solid defense with Golden State, and this adds to my point that I make about them. You can play defense for 20 seconds in the shot clock. For those seconds, they always get the right bounce to go their way. They had a couple that go their way late that I saw that these guys were driving down the lane. Dallas tipped it out of their hands and then found a shooter, and they hit their shots. They don't miss very often, and they get bounces to go their way. I'm not saying they're a fortunate team, but they're always at the right place at the right time. always.
They are, they're probably one of the greatest teams we've ever seen assembled, but I think it is a decent portion of it. Sometimes in sports, you do need to be lucky. And they're one of the best teams, but in my opinion, they're also one of the luckiest teams that you've ever seen because the bounces always tend to go their ways. And I know that's all about positioning, and they've been taught great positioning, but at some level, sometimes you just have to be lucky. And, the old saying is it's better to be lucky than good. Well, when you're both, you're near unbeatable, and that's what Golden State has been for the last decade.
And it's part of the reason why I always say that they're, especially when you're playing, when they're healthy like they are now, that's why they're so demoralizing. Because, like I said, you can play defense for mostly every second of the shot clock, but those last couple of seconds, they always seem to get a bounce to go their way. And it's not like, they get a bounce to go their way and they don't capitalize on it. It's almost 90% of the time they capitalize on it. They either get a shot or a layup, and they just always right place at the right time. They always seem to find the right guy open under the basket. There was a couple times last night, Steph's driving down the lane. Nobody picks up Kevon Looney. Steph has some really good pair of eyes to find guys. So
he does.
When they're clicking like this, man, the system they have in place. And the thing is they've had it since they won that first championship all these years, and it's still hard to beat. You can't keep up with it.
No. Look, and I just got to put this out there that the two most dominant players in the NBA for the last 12 years, both from Akron, so I got to represent here. Steph Curry and LeBron James, both Akron boys, both born in the same hospital, as a matter of fact. So I can say I was born in the same city as two of the greatest. Unfortunately, I was born in a different hospital. So,
well, and they're both have ties to the Cavs too. LeBron played with them. Steph's dad played for the Cavs.
Yeah, but my only question when it comes down to Golden State at this point is how much longer can they go for? Because we're reaching that point. This is about where we saw Chicago's reign come to an end. Everybody got old. They retired. Steph Curry is now 34 years old. We've seen other players in the league start to dwindle at this age. Now, we don't really see it from him quite yet, but that's not to say, next year, now that, they made their run, but all those injuries have been kind of nagging them for a while. What's next year going to be like? He had his worst three-point shooting percentage when he's been healthy for a season. He did have a worse number back in 2019, but that's when he only played 5 games, so I don't really want to count that one very much. It wasn't a complete season. He played more minutes than last year, got less points, field goal percentage was down, rebounds were down, assists were up, and so were steals and blocks. So his defense is still there, but I think Steph Curry's offense is starting to slow it down. And I'm not saying it's going to go away, because when you can shoot the ball like that, it doesn't just disappear. You can pretty much always shoot the ball like that. That's why we saw guys like Kyle Korver and Ray Allen play so deep past their primes, and their athletic abilities were pretty much gone by the time they left the league. And they were still draining down their shots when they got tossed them out there. So Steph Curry is going to continue to shoot well. My only question is, how much longer can they kind of keep this up as a team? Because look at Clay, he's 32. The injuries have clearly built up these last 2 years. And, he hasn't played a full season since 2018 when he played 78 games. I
think the big thing, though, is we kind of talk about it with older quarterbacks in football, right? How, systems seem to benefit them and keep them in playing longer, extra couple of years that they plan on playing. I think if this system that they're so used to at Golden State and works so well for them, if it keeps going for them, I mean, it's hard to imagine Steph falling off too much.
Well, my thing is, Steph falling off is a big one that you're probably not going to see, but that could come from Klay Thompson. All you need is one of these guys to slip up, and we saw it the last couple of years. Golden State wasn't what they were when Klay was there and Klay was healthy. It's a real duo, and you have to have this duo to be successful. It's just what sports is. You can be a good team without it, but you're not going to win a championship if you don't have your pieces in there and your guys for your system. So I think my biggest thing moving forward is once Klay Thompson and Steph do start to kind of go down the rabbit hole a little bit, can it be guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole and Juan Toscano-Anderson and Damian Lee being the ones able to step up for this team and keep things going the way that it's been? Obviously, I think the answer to that quickly is no, because you're not going to be Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But there's still a lot of youth on this squad. So I just, we look at this team, and I think we need to appreciate it while it's here, because I think it's about to be gone very quickly from the NBA. Teams don't last. We've seen it. These reigns, they come to an end, and just as soon as it starts, it's over. This has been from 2015 to now. They've had a great run, and they probably get another title here. By the way, Steph Curry would match LeBron James with 4 titles if he does it, by the way. And I don't think this team can keep it up anymore. It feels like with all of the talent we have growing around, Golden State's bubble's about to pop.
I agree.
This is the final title for Golden State.
I don't know if I agree with that part. I don't know if they're going to do it for a couple more years like they did the first time, but I'm not trying to get carried away here. But
I just mean with this squad, with Steph and Clay and Draymond, this is that trio's last title.
If they win this year, you're saying?
If they win this year, yes. It is their last title.
I still feel confident they can get another one.
It's not that I don't feel confident that they can, because we're seeing this year that they can still do it. But at the same time, we're seeing some of the greatest athletes coming up right now through college and the young studs in the league. Veterans can only stick around so long. We see it. The veterans do tend to be the ones winning titles. But at the same time, once those young guys hit their prime, they tend to eliminate some of those big teams. I mean, you see it every year. The best, oldest guys, they got eliminated in the first round this year.
Well, I mean, it depends on a lot of things too. I mean,
there's a lot
of kind of rumors. I mean, we don't know if Andrew Wiggins, how much money he's going to want. If they're going to be able to pay him, if they're going to pay him. So if that were to walk and he were to walk somewhere else or get traded somewhere else, that'd be a big loss for them because he stepped up big time for them. And something that just came into mind, we were just talking about championships. Something I'm going to ask you this question. I know we always find a way to bring him up, so I'll ask this question. So if Steph wins this year, which I think they're going to win, no matter who they play, if he wins this year and they get 4 championships, he'll be tied with LeBron, like you said. Who do you think is going to get another one first?
Who gets another one?
Finish with more.
Who finishes with more?
To me, it's got to be Steph.
Steph probably has the better chance, but if someone's going to do it, it's probably LeBron, and that's only because teams are determined to put everything around him. And I feel like, depending on this offseason could be crazy, and I think we'll talk about this as the season comes back around next year, especially with the results of what this NBA Finals could potentially be, because we still don't know who's coming out of the East, but Golden State with Steph Curry probably has the best chance of winning one, but somehow I still think LeBron's more likely. And I know that sounds crazy because, he wasn't even in the playoffs this year, but it's LeBron James. And I feel like there ain't much that need to be said after it's LeBron James because we know what he can be, and it just has to be the right players. Because we've seen him take the right players to the championship and lose, but we've seen him take the right players and win as well. So to me, this Lakers squad, I was hyped on at the beginning of the year. I really wanted it to succeed. It did not at all. I thought it would be really fun to see all those guys make one final swan song run to the finals. It didn't happen. But I think that LeBron James, if he's surrounded by the right people, can and will win another championship. If that happens, Golden State currently, if we're looking at both these teams currently, it's Golden State by a landslide.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if we're looking at, we know the Lakers are going to make a lot of changes. We know they're already talking about who they're moving and what's going on. LeBron James is a key piece right now being talked about getting traded. He's never been traded before in his 17-year career or 18-year career. And, he's on that verge right now. And I think that's also a big thing. If he ends up with Brooklyn and you team him next to Kevin Durant, championship. If you put the 2 best players in the league together, it's a championship for Brooklyn. That's why I think Brooklyn has been so key on talking to the Lakers, because outside of the Lakers, I haven't heard of any other team Brooklyn has been seriously talking to, because they know LeBron James is that piece that they want. And I know and not only are you putting LeBron James next to Kevin Durant, keep in mind Ben Simmons is there. And question marks on that for sure. But remember what Ben Simmons' comparison was when he came into the league?
Yep.
LeBron James. They have similar styles, and this could be the piece that Ben Simmons needs to be that next step, to take that next step and finally get past that sophomore rookie of the year that he won, because he's never done anything since then.
No. And
this could be that piece. If you put LeBron next to him, now you're also giving LeBron an expert passer, something when he's had one has been awesome. Can we point that out? LeBron James has had another passer. He has been awesome. Dwayne Wade. Kyrie Irving, Rondo, when he's had those guys, hell, even Daniel Gibson from the 07, 08 seasons. When he's had great passers with him, he's a great athlete. He hasn't had a great passer in the Lakers squad this year. He was that guy. He's been playing point guard for them. LeBron, I'll say it, LeBron isn't a point guard. He is a small forward that runs the point. But when you've seen him be able to go off and be that small forward, especially like he did in Miami, which is why they were so good in Miami. And then when he came back to Cleveland, he wasn't the point man. He wasn't playing point. Somebody else was taking that responsibility, and he was able to play his game dominantly. If you find a team and put it together like this Nets squad could be if they can acquire LeBron James, even if it means giving up Kyrie, which I don't think is the worst, because he's a drama queen and drama follows. If you can find a way to get LeBron over to Brooklyn, I give Brooklyn a title before Golden State.
I don't want to try to make this like a Lakers versus Warriors question, because I think honestly, if LeBron wants to win another championship, it's not going to be in LA.
Yeah,
it's not, because there's too many question marks. I know people are trying to. Somebody mentioned a trade with Westbrook and Kyrie Irving. I don't think that's a smart trade, but if it did, like, there's.
Can you imagine Westbrook and Ben Simmons on the same team?
I know, but the people
ain't hitting the shot all season.
Durant's
literally, he's just gonna walk out at that point. He's like, really?
They're gonna have enough bricks to build a new arena.
The NBA playoffs, and you got rid of my number 2 scorer.
Yeah.
It's about as dumb as they were when they got rid of Jared Allen, D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie. They had a team in the NBA playoffs that was better than the one they put together now.
And we got 2 of them guys.
Right.
I mean, I love it, but no, they'd have enough bricks to build a new arena.
Yeah, they would.
Between them 2 guys.
Yeah, they'd have enough bricks to build that new Washington Commanders facility that they've been talking about. Have you heard about that facility
that they deserve?
Washington's trying to put on.
Yeah, and they deserve a new stadium.
They deserve a new stadium. But you're going to build a stadium, a theme park, a whole city, apartments surrounding this building. I'm like, can you focus on having a winning season first?
Only that franchise can.
We don't care about winning. You're going to have fun.
And a team
at our park, but it's like, wait, aren't we here to see football? No, we don't do that here.
And a team that was called for 2 years, just the football team.
Yeah.
That's another thing that tells you how stupid that franchise is. But
honestly, I kind of love the football team. I wish they brought it back.
It was. I think it's better than Commanders, though. To be honest, it just doesn't sound right. But no, back to that. I mean, I'm not saying LeBron can't win one. I'm just saying it can't be in LA, because they're having a hard time getting a coach there. And I'm not trying to slate any of the coaches that are left, on their whoever they're choosing from. I think there's like 3 or 4 guys, and nothing against any of them. But I just don't think for the Los Angeles Lakers, that's the list that they're putting together. They're gonna have a hard time getting a coach there. They don't have any assets at all. That's why Stephen A. Smith even brought up the idea of LeBron being traded, because if you're the Lakers, you got to watch out for yourself, just like the Cavs did LeBron's last year. They traded everybody away for a bunch of young guys that didn't help him at that moment.
But you see what it turned into.
They flipped a couple guys into the guys they have now. So, and it's a couple draft picks, but they just don't have any assets for me to say who they're going to bring in that's going to help LeBron win there.
That's a big thing, because Anthony Davis is not that guy.
He's too injury prone.
He's not the right fit next to LeBron.
And we've even seen the last couple times he's been on the floor healthy, he hasn't been anything special.
He was only special in New Orleans because he was the only one.
Yeah. I mean, that year they went on that run and won it all. Yeah, he performed pretty well. I mean, obviously that he did, but ever since then, I feel like
season, and
outside of his injuries, when he's on the floor, he's been good, but not Anthony Davis good.
I feel like Anthony Davis is the weakest big man in the history of the NBA.
I agree.
That dude should be a straight up beast. You combine his wingspan with the muscle that he provides. I'm tired of layups and hook shots and fadeaways. Put it on someone's head.
Yeah.
Jump up, teabag that dude, and put it between his eyes. Anthony Davis should be a killer. We're seeing 2 other big men in the league, and Jokic, Giannis, and I'll put 3, and Embiid all play with pretty much the same styles as Anthony Davis. Jokic is probably the best comparison. Jokic to Anthony Davis, they're so similar, and Jokic has half the muscle. Yeah. And yet he's playing 10 times better than Anthony Davis. Davis should be one of the best players in the NBA, and he's not.
No.
He's really good, but he's not one of the best.
Yeah. No, I agree. But
at this point, if I was to build a franchise around any team and I got to pick around any player and I got to pick between Anthony Davis and LeBron, I'd still pick LeBron.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Anthony Davis can't lead. He's not a leader.
And that's another reason why I'm sticking with. I'm going to say Steph Curry and Golden State because Steph he's never going to be anywhere else besides Golden State. Yeah. So I'm going to when I'm using Steph in this argument.
Question marks in LeBron.
Yeah, so that's a big thing because I mean, if they want to trade LeBron, they can.
Best player of our generation, then.
What's that?
You going to turn this around and say who's the best player of this generation?
No, it's LeBron. I know it is.
I think Steph is right there. It's 1A and 1B for me. With those two guys, the way they've revolutionized the sport in the last 10 years alone, 10 years alone, they have completely turned the NBA upside down.
They have been the 2010s and 20s so far. I mean, more so. I mean, really not more so either one of them because Golden State's had this.
I would say the 10s because of LeBron. LeBron started the 10s. Curry ended it. LeBron still got some noise in there, though, at the end. Those two guys, I mean, they combined, they've had, 5 titles in 10 years?
And they've been in every finals except one last year.
When they were, both injured?
Well, Steph wasn't, but his guys were injured. Because I remember last year.
Steph in the third-string high school basketball team he was playing with.
Well, I'll say this, though, and this is the question you asked earlier of how long he can keep doing this stuff. Last year, I mean, they started out pretty average, Golden State. I know they had guys that were hurt, but the reason they got in the play-in tournament was because of him, and he was shooting it historically. And it's hard to even say that he was shooting it historically after the way he's been his whole career. But he did it last year. I maybe that's going to slow him down a little bit. I don't think so, but it's hard. It's hard for you to ask this question when they're still playing at this level.
And we see LeBron, who's another 4 years into the future, still playing just fine.
So it's hard to see that. It's hard to even imagine that. But I think, and another thing I was going to say with that, who's going to win next or finish with more championships, I think it's because, look, the Lakers can sit here and say, hey, we're going to trade LeBron, but we all know LeBron has so much power when he's in a franchise. He doesn't want to be traded. He's not going to be traded. So that's the thing. If he wants to stay in LA, which I think he does, he said how many times how he likes playing for, historic franchises, which he is in LA. That's what I'm saying. He wants to stay in LA.
LeBron in a place like Brooklyn?
Not really.
It's Brooklyn.
That's what I'm saying. If he stays in LA, which he's said numerous times, he's kind of beat around the bush a little bit, but we know he wants to stay there. I don't see him winning one there. It's just hard to see it.
Yeah, it is for sure.
And I'm not doubting him. I don't want to get that wrong. I'm not doubting him because I know what he brings, but it's what the franchise does around him. Because I was telling Matt the other day.
Bron is old. I don't know how much you're really going to get for a guy like Bron because I think teams know, especially with that contract expiring in 2024. They get 2 seasons, two maybe 3 seasons with him, and then he's going wherever his son gets picked.
Well, actually, all right, 2 things. No, I was telling Matt the other day. I don't know if you were on the show, but it's the problem with the Lakers is that they're so star-driven, which isn't a problem, but they often...
That's how they have to be. They're Hollywood. They have to be stars.
But the thing is they often, more than half the time, they hunt the wrong stars, and they're not a stable franchise. Their whole franchise is run on people that are friends with each other, and they just don't have a lot of accountability. And I think if it wasn't for LeBron, which it showed the last 2 years that's hurt them, if it wasn't for LeBron wanting to be in a franchise like the Lakers, they'd be nothing.
They were nothing.
And they continue to be nothing.
There and they instantly became something, and then the next season
think about it. They can't. Before LeBron went there, and when Kobe was still there closing out his last years, nobody. We heard every offseason, I can't remember some names, but this person's going to go to Lakers. None of them went there. They had trouble getting somebody there to make one last run with Kobe. They couldn't get anybody there after he retired. Nobody wants to go coach there right now.
I think this is another thing. People don't want to play with LeBron because they know he controls everything. To me, this is a big piece of what he's done, though, in the last 10 years. When I say he's revolutionized and turned this league upside down, he's made it where a player can be involved and should be involved in the way a team is run. When the star player, is so dependent on, his contracts and winning to get those contracts, then he's got to have some say in what's going on. If you have a guy that knows how to win and can get you there, you listen to him because you haven't been there. Well, and this is something that Cleveland struggled with when LeBron was there. Nobody wanted to play because he has so much say. And now you're seeing this in a lot of different organizations that some of the best players, they're starting to get a say. LeBron's just been doing it for a while. But how much longer until Giannis starts calling the shots, or Jokic, or Embiid? And who's to say Embiid isn't already calling the shots?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Embiid is probably the closest guy to LeBron on calling shots for his team.
Well, I something that came to my mind is I don't really think he could. He controlled things in Cleveland, even though him and Dan Gilbert didn't get along. But Dan Gilbert just wanted to win so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers so far, he has controlled everything. He had a major play in that trade that they just made last year. The one place he really didn't really control too much was Miami.
And Miami didn't let him.
And they won 2 championships. And Pat Riley,
he didn't need to control anything because he trusted the people around him. That's
yeah,
what in LeBron's career, he's never been able to trust anybody.
And I remember
that even goes back into his younger years. LeBron has never been able to trust anybody.
Yeah.
Growing up in Akron, and especially in the time that he was growing up in, wasn't a great place to be. You know, LeBron has had so many ups and downs. He learned not to trust those people, and he got to play with people he trusted in Miami, and you saw the success out of it. He got a couple of those guys back that he trusted for the LA run, and you saw what happened. They won. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing, I think so many people, and even me, I think have been guilty of this, we're always looking for the best players to put next to LeBron. LeBron doesn't work with the best players because the best players don't want to work with LeBron. You put LeBron James around the right players and the guys that he trusts. And I think that's what the Lakers were trying to do this year, but I think they did it probably about 5 years too late on, the guys they brought in. I mean, if you get, Carmelo and Bron from the last 10 years mixed up with all those other guys in that team, I mean, that was literally an all-star team back in 2013?
Yeah.
They were just a little late to the party on it. You give credit to what they tried to do a little bit, but it was a big failure. And I think it's going to kind of play a key role in the future of NBA teams trying to build older super teams. It's just not going to work. You need that influx of youth.
Well, I think the big thing is, and if, like I said, I think LeBron wants to stay in LA. We'll see if something happens and they trade him or he wants to go somewhere else after his contract's up. But I just think if he wants to stay there and win another championship there, he's going to have to not want to. He's going to have to sit back and say, you know what, I still want to be involved with things, but yeah, off topic word.
We've been off topic for so long, so I just
That's okay.
Throw it out there.
That's okay. But he's going to have to sit back and want to be involved in things, but not demand so much power that he's had for a long time. That's the big thing. Yeah,
and we'll see how things work out. But to your question, I think LeBron can win a title before Curry does again. Obviously, after this season, because Curry's most likely to win one here in the NBA Finals.
Which
likely.
Yeah,
they're the favorites right now. That's why I say likely. So let's move it into maybe their opponent. We'll find out because they're playing in Boston tonight at 8:30. The Celtics Heat Game 6. Mike, this is the series, man. This is what the NBA wanted, right? They wanted these two teams going up against one another. 1 versus 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They both paved their way in against great opponents. And now you've seen this kind of lackluster Eastern Conference Finals so far. But I'm waiting for that dagger, that final punch in the cannon right there. I'm waiting for it, man. I think it's going to happen. It's got to happen tonight with the Celtics. They've dominated the last 2 games. They've just destroyed Miami's offense. Mm-hmm. Destroyed. There's been nothing left. Miami doesn't have an offense. They're looking like the Chicago Bears. They got no
shell-shocked, man.
Huh?
They've been shell-shocked these last 2 games. They don't know what hit them.
No. And I've said what I said about Jimmy Butler, and, especially the last few days. I did take it a step too far. He's not a quitter. I know he's had a very hard upcoming. He's a quitter on the floor is where I was going yesterday. I wanted to clarify that statement because I was thinking about it, and I went, well, maybe I stepped a little bit too far saying he's been a quitter his whole life. He had a rough upcoming. He's not a quitter, but he's also not that guy on the court. So I wanted to rephrase my statements from the other day. But coming into Game 6, as I'm just saying, Jimmy Butler ain't that guy. Lowry's too old. Bam Adebayo is about as successful as Hassan Whiteside was with Miami. I mean, they got rid of Whiteside, brought Adebayo in, and they're getting kind of the same results out of him. So not terribly confident Miami has anything else. I mean, there's a chance they take Game 6 because there's always a chance. They can have a good shooting night. Boston can have a bad one, or it stays close and they just get that shot to go at the end. There's so many things that can happen. But at the same time, I don't see it. And I know this has happened a lot. I don't see it. And then they prove me wrong. And I go, well, I saw something there. I don't know if they can bring it again. And they end up winning the series here. But out of the last two games, especially the last game for Boston when they were last year, 102-82, that win for Boston, they have just set the table. The table is there. It's set. Steaks are coming out of the kitchen for them. They're about to pop the champagne, pour the glasses. They're in Boston. They get their fans. It's rowdy playing there in the TD Garden. It's an awesome place to play. And you know Bostonians, they bring the noise. They bring the power. This is a team. This is a team in a city so hungry for this title. They haven't had one in what feels like forever for a team like Boston, right? I mean, Boston is a title team. That is what they're supposed to be. Their legends have come out of the woodworks these last couple of years and went, hey, we don't celebrate banner. We don't hang up those Eastern Conference banners. We hang up titles. And you know, so much of that has come out in the last couple of years of these legends just going, what is this team? This isn't our team. This isn't the legacy we left behind. And for the first time, I feel like Boston is where they should be.
Yeah.
If Boston has never won with one guy being the man, they have always, when they have won, always had a great team. And that's what this team is. We don't know who's going to become legends. We didn't know Bill Russell would win as many titles as he did. We didn't know Larry Bird was going to be that guy. When he came out of Indiana State, could anyone have really told you for a fact that Larry Bird would have been what he was? I don't think so. He was a good shooter, and he led that team. But you didn't think that was going to translate from Indiana State, the Sycamores, over to the Boston Celtics.
It's a team we play in football.
Havlicek coming out of Ohio State, highly touted point guard at the time. Worked with those guys. I mean, the list goes on and on for Boston Celtics legends. They are legends because they won. It wasn't always a Bill Russell. You look at his stats, probably say Bam Adebayo has better stats than Bill Russell, but Bam Adebayo doesn't have championships on every finger. Oh, and he was also the coach for two of them.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing because no one wanted to coach Bill Russell at the time because they were racist, and Boston has been known that way for a long time still. But, you know, Boston is made up of great players who become legends, not legends that come to Boston. Boston doesn't really, outside of that trio, quadruple group they had back in the 2000s, they don't really bring guys in and build these rosters. They draft them like they did with this one. A lot of these guys are drafted, home built. It's what made Golden State successful. It's what made Cleveland successful this season, and it's what's made Boston successful all throughout their history. They got back to the roots, and it's paying off.
I mean,
I got Boston taking Game 6 here tonight, and I got them taking it by 20 again. I haven't seen anything that suggests otherwise. Well,
I'll start off what you were saying about the Celtics, about history-wise. I mean, they've had. I was going to say with Golden State, they put together one of the top, big three, but especially some of the best teams in NBA history. I mean, some other teams have had some too, but Celtics have a good chunk of those best teams ever assembled. So even some of the years they didn't win it, and I think since 2010, that's the last time they were even in a finals. That's a long time for Boston. Just like we say all the time with the Cowboys, it's been a long time since for these type of big name teams in any sport, what might be not a long time for some teams is a big deal for these teams, and that's a big deal for the Celtics. They've had chances, but I think it's some of these big games that they play at home sometimes, at least the last couple of years, they don't always win them. With the same core group, they lost the Game 7 to the Cavs when LeBron was there. They lost, I think, another Game 7 to somebody else. They finally broke through the 3 this year and beat Game 7 with the defending champs, but I think, Miami has 2 game-time decision players tonight with Gabe Vincent and Tyler Hero. You'd imagine they're both playing. It's winner. This is it. It's win or go home. I think I'm not confident in Miami, but I'm going to pick them for some parity here, and I actually think that they're going to win tonight and lose Game 7 at home. It sounds a little weird, but
okay.
I kind of feel that for some reason.
I think if you do see Miami win here, I think they go back home and they probably close it. I think whoever wins here tonight wins it all. I'm looking into Tyler Hero at the moment, seeing what's going on. They're saying he could play still. Obviously, you said game time decisions. I was seeing if that changed. But the reports are being Tyler Hero wouldn't be playing if it was the regular season. So I think that kind of puts you on if he does play, he's not going to be anywhere close to 100%. 6th man of the year, so we know he can straight up ball. But at the same time, I think the question marks are too up there. With this being this important of a game, I don't think you can afford to put out a guy shooting that, who's 50% and his biggest thing is shooting. He's an outside shooter and he's got a damaged groin muscle. Down in there, you use so much lower body strength to put these shots up. He's not a big armed guy that uses his arms for this. He gets so much of that power from his legs, from that region of your body. And if he's not out there and he can't do his things, he's better off not playing in this game. So that's a big one. Gabe Vincent, not entirely concerned on that situation. He's a role player and it'd be nice to have him back. But if Miami's going to win, they have to win with the team they have now. You can't wait and see game time decision wise for those guys are going to be there. If they are, great. Add them into your game plan. If they can play at 100%, if they can give me everything they got left in the tank, fine, I will put you out there. If you will go out there and bleed for me, I will put you on that roster and let you go for it because we're down to our final shot. But at the same time, I'm not going to go put somebody out there that can't go do his job. You got to play with what you got. And right now, Miami Heat with what they got, it ain't great. In Boston, they're getting healthy now. Guys are coming back. They're playing their style of basketball again, and they're straight up dominating. So, can Miami win this?
No means no.
No.
Ooh, that's a new.
There we go. Yeah, pull out a new prop.
Yeah.
I've had that for 3 years, and I've never used it on the show, I don't think.
There you go. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, the no button.
No, I
It's
agree.
got a bunch of different responses, too, besides that one.
Click it again.
No, 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 no.
I want to do that one to Matt.
I didn't even work on Matt.
Just save my voice. Just start hitting the button whenever Matt starts talking. We're just gonna rip on him here on the Thursday and Friday shows, aren't we?
Yeah, I was gonna say we tore him up yesterday, but no, I agree. I'm not confident in Miami tonight at all. But we talked about them coming in. They have the depth. It just has not shown it all in this series.
No.
Nobody's gotten it done, and I think we talked about Kyle Lowry yesterday. This could be his last chance in this position, or to move on to get to the next position. But he's got to step up big time tonight because Gabe Vincent, for him being a role player and a backup point guard, he's played okay. He could be a lot better, but he's played okay. So I think having him out, he's got to be out there tonight. I think, and you can argue Tyler Hero, he's going to be 50%, but I would still think it would be nice to have him available. But they have depth. I mean, and they have shooters too. Max Strus has not performed these last two games. I don't know why they've
formed a thing.
They started to get Duncan Robinson back in there. He's starting to make a couple shots, but it might be too late for that.
That's my thing. Everything is, if it comes here in Game 6, it's too little, too late. Boston has momentum. They're at home. If Miami has even a slip up for this much, it's over. They have to play perfect, and from what I've seen, the Miami Heat can't play perfect.
And maybe you could think maybe Boston could be due for an off shooting night because they really haven't had any in these playoffs. I'm not banking on that, but I don't know. For some reason,
they've had off shooting nights, but they still won.
Yeah, and they still have found ways to win. And I'm not confident in Miami. I'm trying to be different here, and I want to see.
You want a Game 7 in the conference finals.
I do.
We had a gentleman sweep on the other side. You want this one to go deep, if not only to make sure Golden State can get healthy on their side as well. Yeah, I think both teams want to go into that. Whoever it is, that NBA Finals, you want both teams healthy.
And I mean, history between these two teams, the last couple of series they played in the playoffs, Miami's had success against them. I know it's different teams, but they've had success in that voting in the playoffs. Maybe not so far this series, but I don't know. I want it to happen. I want Miami to keep this going. I don't really care because I'm going to pick Golden State no matter who they play, but I don't know. I just feel kind of weird. I'm still picking them to lose the series. I think they're going to win tonight and lose Game 7 at home. That means they would lose 3 games on their home floor out of 4. And that seems possible the way they've been playing.
Yeah, who knows at this point what's going on. But let's transition over to the NHL playoffs as we continue to roll through over there. Yesterday's games, Oilers closed it out, took home the win. Carolina picked up a win as well. Oilers and Flames, man, they go to overtime, of course, because those two teams can score out the building. And Oilers came out on top. Hurricanes, they did what they do. I said I wasn't confident in them. I'm still not, but I think they got a good chance of taking this against the Rangers. Rangers, I think, are finally getting that wear and tear on them. But just one game in the NHL tonight, since we had some eliminations going on already, and it's the Avalanche Blues Game 6 in St. Louis at 8 p.m. tonight. Mike, you're the NHL guy here on the show. What do you got coming into this one?
Well, I want to say so far, in basketball and hockey, I've gotten some predictions close. I think I picked Colorado in 6 tonight, so I'm going to go with that. I think they're, St. Louis had some good. They weren't really too overly impressive, like you talked about in Minnesota in that first round, but Colorado is just they're too much for them. We talk about all these teams in hockey, especially in this point in the playoffs. You got to be fast. They're just a lot faster than a lot of these other teams. They have good goaltending. We saw Nathan McKinnon the other day. They have good fast break goals. They have a good system going in their fast break.
Mike, I gotta interrupt you here for just a second. We just got word all games tonight at Bob Scene for Class B baseball have been canceled. Just got that in from our man Quinn. So no games tonight from Class B in YSN live at Bob Scene. Don't know about the availability of other games in the area, but I got the word Class B in Bob Scene Park tonight has been canceled.
Yeah, it looks like a good amount of rain coming.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain all day, all the rest of the day. So I got asked if I wanted to cover these games earlier, and I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll cover them because I don't think they're going to happen. So I would take them if they did. I was opening my blinds, making a ton of noise, I'm sure, to try and see if it's raining. It's not yet, but they have already been canceled.
Possible thunderstorm at 4 o'clock, but it's...
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati Reds game got postponed yesterday due to the weather that was in the region. We've had a couple playoff games go down. I think some.
Hey, by the way,
their day before, so
they ended up finishing that game yesterday, and they beat the Cubs 20-5.
Whoo! Jeez,
what is up with these Reds bats, man? They woke up.
Yeah, we'll get the baseball here soon. We'll get this Colorado St. Louis game quick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's really not too much Colorado isn't good at. Their fast break opportunities, they always capitalize on them. Good goaltending everywhere, and they're good on both lines. And I think St. Louis is too, but I think Colorado's just too much for them. They're a different level. I think they're going to close it out tonight.
I think Colorado's going to take it too. I've given my reasons. St. Louis had a pretty good game last time out. We haven't seen too many of them though against Colorado. I don't think it carries on. So I got the Avalanche winning it tonight. We got to go Saturday's game real quick though. Can Carolina finish things off against the Rangers?
They haven't won a road game yet in the series, and I think they're. You often see how sometimes they don't. They come out on the road in Game 6 and close it out. So I think Carolina's going to do it. They're. I'm not too confident in them, like you said. I kind of was going in the playoffs and going in this series, but they haven't shown too much in the playoffs. But I think they're a better team than the Rangers, and like you said, I think it's starting to catch up to the Rangers, how physical that they play and how some other teams have played them. So I got the Rangers. Hurricanes, sorry. I'm gonna take Rangers to win Game 6. As you said, home teams have been dominating the series. I see no reason to flip it up here. So I know Hurricanes came off of a very impressive win last night, but I think Rangers, they always seem to have one more left in them. So I'm gonna give Rangers one more, and then Carolina will close things out, and we'll have our Stanley Cup field by next week. Doesn't matter. We're gonna know who's in it. We got Tampa and the Oilers already. I got a feeling it's going to be Carolina and Colorado, and it should set up a phenomenal conference finals. So I'm excited to see how things go. Let's go ahead and stop into the Horizon League real quick, give you an update from yesterday's actions. Wright State took down Northern Kentucky, and Oakland beat Youngstown State. So YSU and Northern Kentucky now playing in the losers bracket. They will face each other today I think the game's probably already over today. It was today at 12 p.m. Wright State and Oakland go at it today at 4 p.m. as well. Loser of that one takes on the winner of Youngstown State versus Northern Kentucky. Winner moves on to the championship game for both of those. I'm trying to look up and see if that game. You said it was today, the YSU game?
Looks like it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, they fell 2-0 to Oakland. So when's the next game?
Well, no, I thought it was supposed to be. Hold on here. Let me double check the dates. Today's game, it should be right now. End of the 7th, YSU won it 28 seconds ago, 11-5.
There we go.
Right now, they go 9 innings in college. My bad.
Oh, yeah, 7 innings.
So used to high school. End of the 7th, it's over. I'm like, wait a minute. Because they said NKU's top of the order to bat in the 8th. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't play 8th. Yes, we do. Yes, we definitely play 9 innings in college. But they're winning at 11-5 right now over Northern Kentucky. So they got a chance to go into the conference semifinals.
Pretty good lead there.
Yeah.
You got to hold on to it.
Should be exciting. I got Wright State beating Oakland, though, in the game next. So
Wright State's been the team all year.
Yeah. Problem is that sets up Youngstown State versus Oakland again in that losers bracket. So, we'll see how things go. But I'm going.
Hey, man, we're all for redemption. Let's get it.
Yeah, right?
Revenge tour.
Second chances. That's what the city's built on.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over into Major League Baseball to wrap out the last 15 minutes of the show. So today over on my Twitter page at Alec Caberna, you can check that out. I dropped a new power rankings for the week, and a couple of big changes here. I had Pittsburgh actually moving up a decent bit. They're up to 22nd. One of the biggest ones for me, though, has been Boston and what they've been doing here recently, how things are going for them. I mean, they're climbing up. And I'm not looking in division here. I'm looking overall. So obviously they're still down in their division, but I think they're probably one of the hottest teams coming up. Milwaukee is playing lights out baseball right now. My top team, it remains New York. They were the first one to hit that 30 win mark. They're over it now by a couple of games. Dodgers I got in second, Astros 4, Mets in the 5 spot. Boston I actually had all the way up at 12. I had St. Louis back at 13. And maybe this one's a little biased because I want them to do well this year. I had the Texas Rangers at 16. They're starting to come up, man. You got to watch out. My dark horse beginning of the season, they're just under 500. They won their last 2, 6-4 in their last 10. The differential is staying around 0, and that's a good place to be. If you're riding 500, keep that differential right there because it shows that you're winning, that you're going into these close games. So it's what I continue to look at right now for this Texas Rangers team. I think they're a good team, and I think they're going to surprise some people. They need to start figuring out how to win those one-run ball games, but I think if they can get that down, Texas is going to be a team you got to watch out for the rest of the season. Defending champions in the Braves I had at 17. I had the Tigers at 18 and the Reds at 19. I know they're still technically the worst in baseball, but, we read off that stat. In this month, they've had a better record than half the teams. So I got them there. I know Washington is really bad as well, but I have them. I think they got a chance right now to make that jump up because we see so many teams struggling. And a big way I was doing it was, what are your last 10 being? That's kind of how I'm looking at you guys first. If you've had a good last 10, obviously you're going up in the power rankings. That's how that works. And a team like Washington, they're 4-6. There's a lot of teams that went 4-6, and out of those, it's easy to say Washington played kind of the best in those last 10 games, opposed to those other 4-6 teams. So I think the bottom 4 right now in baseball, Detroit, Kansas, Washington, Cincinnati, all have a chance here in the month of June to make that next step or completely fall apart. It's make or break time for those bottom 4 right now in baseball. But I had Seattle right now as the worst team in baseball. 2-8 in their last 10, lost their last 2 games as well, have a negative differential. They're not winning games consistently. And you look at the advanced statistics for the team, they've done great in one-run ball games. They're 8-7. But they're also just not winning against Eastern Conference, against teams in the Eastern Division. So they need to figure things out, and it's going to be a long way for them to come this season. I don't have much confidence right now in what Seattle's got going on. They're not doing anything for me, and their road splits are atrocious. They're 8-18 on the road.
And it's a team you kind of pull for Seattle because they haven't been in the playoffs in so long.
Yeah, I think every baseball fan just wants to see Seattle finally do something, and every year it's just like
no, 1,000 times no.
That's just what it is every year for Seattle,
yeah.
And I'm glad that's the one it went to because it just is.
I mean, and it's discouraging for them because they only missed it by a couple games last year. They go out and I know they lose Kyle Seager, but they bring in Adam Frazier, bring in some other guys. They got their young guys coming up. You would have thought this would have been a big year. They still have time to turn it around, but 18-27, the last 10 games, like you said, 2-8. That's in that division too. It's tough. You got the Astros and Angels, and the Rangers, like you said. For me,
you got to stay. If you're going to be under 500, don't get more than 10 games under 500. That's the threshold. If you get any farther than that, I start losing confidence in your ability to make that comeback. That's why a team like Cincinnati, they're coming up right now. They're not going to stay up. They need a lot to get back into it at this point. I know we're only a quarter of the way into the season, but it feels like Cincinnati, if they don't go on a huge streak right now, it feels like they're kind of on the edge of breaking. I mean, I know they're only 6 games under 500. Are you going to say they're going to win 6 games in a row? No, they're going to slowly eat back into that, but more than likely they're going to finish under 500. And to kind of prove no bias here in my power rankings, I put Cleveland at 29. Second worst team in baseball. I put my own team there. So if anyone's like, oh, this guy's just biased, I'm not. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at this. It's probably the most unbiased view you can. I'm going numbers. You guys know I love numbers. And
That matters when you're making
how
power
I've done all
rankings.
my rankings, and especially with baseball, it's a numbers game, you know, and it's so unpredictable. There is no other way to look at baseball than, by the numbers. So when I'm putting this together, Cleveland's 3-7 of their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. Can you name any other team in baseball that has lost 3 games in a row? Right now on a 3-game losing streak.
I was making sure it's 3 because I thought they got swept by the Astros, but they took a game against them. But no, you can't.
No, they're the only
team playing worse
that has lost 3 in a row right now.
The only team worse in the last 10, like you just said, was
the Rockies.
No, the Mariners, right?
No, Rockies are 2-8 in the last 10. Cleveland's 3-7. Colorado's 3-7. Those are the other 3-7 team. Hold on, was
Seattle's 2-8 in the last 10. Where'd you have Seattle though?
I have Seattle last, Guardians
right.
Second to last, Rockies third to last, and I have the Royals fourth to last. Baltimore is like way out of 30th place. They're up at 26.
Yeah, I can't believe you have the Pirates at 20. That just
22.
made me happy.
22 is where I had them. Well, they're 4-6 in the last 10. They won their last one out, and they just made some big call-ups. If they can improve their home and away splits just a little bit, not much, but one of those needs to become, you need to start winning either at home or on the road. You need to pick one instead of losing at both. If they can turn that around, 7 games under 500 at the moment, I think there's a chance. And, the division this year hasn't looked great. So I think there's a chance because St. Louis almost feels like they're about to make a slip up. They're losing steam, and you wonder if those older guys are starting to catch up to it. It looked like it was going to be a miracle season. They put a lot of guys into that. Started off good. Can they keep it up? I don't know. Milwaukee's got the top spot sealed. Yeah, so
it's
Pittsburgh, 5.5 games back from the wild card. That's what they got to be aiming for. Wild card spots all Pittsburgh needs, and 5.5 games out, not a bad spot to be in at this point. So I honestly do think, Mike, your team can make some noise. It's possible. I ain't saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it's possible.
Oh, I know it's not going to happen, but that's 2 things. Actually, that's pretty. I don't know the right word for it, but you're saying Pittsburgh with the wild card. Yeah, it's the best hope is they want to get in the playoffs because they're not winning that division. The Brewers have it locked up.
No,
but a couple years ago,
having a really good year.
But a couple years ago, we're
sitting
here.
The Brewers, by the way, to be your dark horse this season, so it's working out.
I've loved them for the last couple of years. I think this year they could maybe break through. But
they finally got their best guys back healthy. So, that was a big part of that. And Matt's team, the Phillies, sitting in third place right now, 21-24. And my Texas Rangers that I picked here this season are up to third place as well in the AL West. So we're all looking better than we were at the beginning of the season because I was looking real bad for Texas when I picked them because they started out terrible. And they're working their way back up because, we all kind of picked divisions where teams were kind of slacking.
Yeah. But no,
I pointed out, as much as Matt loves Atlanta, he still picked Philadelphia to be the dark horse to come out of there.
That's how confusing
the Braves are.
I'm
like, he had, 5 other divisions to look at, and he goes into the same one that the Braves play in.
You got fooled by that good lineup. You can't, like I said, you can't. I liked Philly's lineup, but they don't have strong enough pitching staff. You got to have pitching. You can't pick a team to be a dark horse when they have no pitching.
Well, I picked Texas.
I think they actually outside of Aaron Nola for the Phillies. I think they might have a better balanced pitching staff. The Rangers.
I would say balance is probably where I would look to Texas to be the better team. But I think power rankings, to look at them right now, I think it's a very interesting spot because there's a lot of movement around. I got the Diamondbacks actually sitting in 14th, despite the fact that they're the 4th seeded team in the NL West. But they're at 500. There isn't a lot of 500 baseball going on right now in Major League. So you look around and let me count it up here. How many teams are below? We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we got 16 teams under 500. So, which
more than half the league.
Perfect sense. So just about perfect sense, when 50-50, you got a coin flip who's winning it. So nearly 50% of the league, over 50% of the league, as you said there, is under 500 at this point. So to have any team right at that line, it means you're playing good baseball. And that's a crazy thing to say, is that you can be a 500 team this year and be good.
Yeah.
And I think another big team to watch out for come June, Toronto. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of them. I gave them a little bit of boost here. I put them at the 8th spot, just ahead of Tampa and San Fran and below the Padres and Twins. I think Toronto's got a chance to overtake Tampa in the next month here. I think they got a good shot at it because Tampa, they can score. They can score really good at scoring, but that pitching has me concerned. So I think if Toronto can put those away splits and start eating some of that back up in there, Toronto's got the second spot in the AL East.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of these teams that are under 500 that we're talking about, a lot of them are trying to, call up their young guys and letting them go through their growing pains. And I think I'll use my team as an example because I called up 4 prospects this week, one of which is I think their top prospect, Ronzi Contreras.
It felt like the week everyone was making those calls.
It was. And I think, like I said, I'm going to use my team as an example because I'd rather them lose with the guys that's going to be their next couple years than lose with a bunch of guys that aren't in the picture and that aren't going to get
That's what Cleveland did last year.
I can live with losing with the growing pains because at least I know when I'm going to the ballpark, these guys are going to go through the pains. They're going to be in the next couple of years. It's going to get better, but right now it's going to be rough. I hope so.
On paper, get better. It's hard to say everything in Pittsburgh is going to get better at the moment.
On paper, it should, but
I want Pittsburgh fans to be prepared. The next few years in sports, it might hurt. You're probably only a few years down the line from losing your best hockey player. You just said goodbye to a legend at quarterback for the Steelers. Your USFL team, I don't think has a win yet. I think they're 0-4 so far. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, you never want to be confident with them.
Next couple of years, though, like you just said, they're going to lose Sid next couple of years. Steelers are kind of finding their way. Next couple of years, it could be a Pirate Town again.
It could be Pirates Town again. I think that would be a big thing right now for that to happen. But another big shocker in here. Well, one of the reasons I gave Baltimore a little bit of the edge, by the way, besides the fact that they've been winning a couple, they called up a huge athlete out of their farm system. And I love when a team can do that and can really kind of flip the script on it and just bring new guys in. It's what Cleveland did last year, and we saw some success early in the season. But as you said, living with the growing pains, you can do it if you know that they're building up to something. And I know everybody wants that instant success, that instant gratitude, but sometimes it just feels that much better when you have to wait. I mean, that Cleveland Cavaliers title, I know, my entire life LeBron was there and everything was like, oh, we got LeBron, so we got that chance. But it still took from the time I was born to win that title 15 years to get there. And that build up, that rise and fall, he leaves, he's back. We got bad draft picks left and right. It was something about it. It made that title more special. So,
yeah,
unfortunately, we are out of time. So we'll have to pick this discussion up Monday. We're going to know who's in the Stanley Cup conference finals, and we will know who is in the NBA finals. So it should be lots of fun. We're going to witness here pretty soon the end of May for baseball. We get into fun June, July months. So should get interesting. But I've been Alec Cabrera. That's Mike Wolfgang, pointed the right way. And before we end things, highlight of the week, go quick. I forgot.
I was just going to say, I think we forgot one. I'll go Wednesday. I was at the game with my mom. That was pretty full.
That's a great pick right there. I got to go Golden State getting back to it. Klay Thompson goes off. And meathead of the week goes to Matt. He's not on the show.
Yeah, we picked on him the last 2 days.
We picked him on a lot, so we're giving it to him. Go to YSNlive.com tonight to see if there's any games going on. I don't know what the current schedule looks like, but we'll be back next week. So come back for more casual sports podcasting on your sports network.